friends, to another edition of South Texas Border Sports Presents Director of Athletics for UTRGV, Mr. Chasse Conque. Good afternoon, Chase. How are you?
Doing well, Ray. Thanks for having us on today.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask you, how are you guys coping with the COVID-19 situation with regards to all these cancellations now through August 1st with your youth camps and the rest of the spring calendar being canceled? How are you guys coping, just focusing on the academics, correct?
Yeah, correct. And it's been most unusual last 4, 5, 6 weeks since we were in Las Vegas for the men's and women's basketball WAC championships. The world's changed drastically, and certainly the landscape of college athletics this spring has changed tremendously. But I'll tell you, I'm so grateful and so proud of our coaches and the way that they've handled the adversity. So proud of our student athletes. You mentioned it, academics. That's our first priority right now. That's our main focus. Their welfare. We're doing things like telecounseling. We've got tutoring happening virtually. And so our staff and our team is really working very hard, and in some areas even harder than what we were before COVID-19 came onto the scene. But really proud of our department and how we've handled the situation. Really proud of our young people, but certainly most unusual last 6 weeks, and you really feel for our seniors, those that were in the middle of their spring competitions. We had 23 seniors that were impacted, and so to see their seasons cut short certainly made all of us sad. But there was some good news from the NCAA that you've likely heard, that we're going to have the opportunity to bring them back for their last year of eligibility in the 2021 academic year. So we're managing just like everybody else, doing our part to stay home, stay safe, and really looking forward to better days ahead.
And now, speaking of that good news, you just mentioned it, bringing back those seniors for perhaps for another year of eligibility. But what has the NCAA contacted you about the upcoming sports, like your women's soccer, your men's soccer, and volleyball? Have they been able to provide you like some sort of like a guideline, like, okay, we want to start everything within the same calendar, or are you just proceeding business as usual until you're told otherwise?
Yeah, it's still a moving target. It's still a fluid situation. There's so much that we have to learn nationally. We rely on a lot of the guidelines and the same information that everybody is seeing. And the NCAA has put together a COVID-19 task force that they're keeping track of things as it relates to intercollegiate athletics. But every situation is different. If you just look at the Western Athletic Conference, we cover 3 time zones, right? So what's happening in the Rio Grande Valley could be very different than what's happening in Seattle or in Phoenix or in Chicago. And so it's going to be a very difficult situation for us as we have to make those decisions of what the summer looks like from bringing student athletes back for summer school and training. We now know that UTRGV, we're going to be all online this summer. And so that was something that we've had to adjust to. And then really, as we look ahead to the fall, there's so many scenarios, and we're planning for about 3 or 4 right now. And no one has that crystal ball to really know what the next 4 or 5 months will look like. But at the end of the day, it's about the welfare of everybody. It's about the welfare of our campus community and our student athletes. And we'll be prepared to adjust and make those decisions as we collect more information in the coming weeks.
And now you talk about having a good support staff within your administration. How key have they been throughout this process during these last 5 to 6 weeks since the pandemic started?
Yeah, just incredible. Very fortunate to work with a great senior team directly. We're in constant communication daily. Those first few days and couple of weeks were very tense. You wanted to make sure that you were making the right decision for your student athletes, for your programs. And so our senior team has done an unbelievable job leading us through this. But you talk about our academic advisors, those folks in our Victory Center that are hands-on with our student athletes. They're doing tremendous work right now in making sure they're in constant communication with our young people as we finish the spring semester. And really, everybody's extremely busy. Our marketing team, as we look ahead to the fall and what's in front of us, staying active in social media. I think our team has been very creative in continuing to engage with our different constituencies. through our marketing efforts. And so everybody has really risen to the occasion. Everybody's role is unique in this, but just a tremendous senior team, and really proud to work with each and every one of them.
Now, your coaches that are having upcoming sports, and even the ones that did suffer through the pandemic, like your track and field, your basketball, and your baseball coaches. Well, what's been their level of feel throughout the situation that couldn't complete their season?
It was tough, and it was really tough. I go back to that Thursday in Las Vegas when the Western Athletic Conference had made the decision as presidents and ADs to cancel the tournament. Obviously, everything unfolded after that, and the NCAA came out with a broad strokes, statement and directives. But it was tough to make those phone calls, to especially our spring coaches, to Coach Hill, who was planning on playing that night. We had our first round game scheduled for later that day in Las Vegas. And then, of course, called our other coaches and shared that news. You learn a lot about folks when you're in those situations, and you get raw emotion, right? You get raw emotion, and they handled it so well. They knew that it was the right thing to do because our first priority was the student athlete welfare. It certainly didn't make that conversation any easier, but they've been tremendous, and they've done a great job communicating with our young people. They've done a great job communicating with folks in our community, and they're patient. They know that we're in this together. And this too shall pass, and none of us are experts, and so we lean on the experts to help us make these decisions. But like I said about our senior staff, our head coaches, and really all of our coaches have been just exceptional.
And now you mentioned the key word right there, patience. How much of that have you been able to develop that during these last few weeks?
A lot, and some of it's with technology. I'll have to admit, I've had to learn about technology and grow patience in the way we communicate. But certainly with so many unknowns, the biggest piece is planning for so many different scenarios. But we've got great colleagues across the country. I'm in constant communication with several athletic directors, obviously in the WAC, but also across the collegiate landscape. And we're all in the same boat. We're all in this together. We're all asking the same questions. And we've got enough smart people at a very, very high level in our country right now that they want sports back, right? They know that athletics, and I would even go to say intercollegiate athletics, play such a key role in rallying communities and bringing people together. And if you look back in our history as a country, athletics has played such a key role in bringing people together in times of need. And so we really feel like there will be a place for college athletics to do that again for our country. And we look forward to doing our part here in the Valley. We look forward to rallying the Valley and bringing people back together. And that's the toughest thing, is that we're in the business of bringing people together. And right now that's just not possible. So we will be patient and we'll wait for that time. But we really do look forward to getting back on the fields and the courts of play.
And now you wanting to come back and one is one thing, but you also got some of the recruiting classes that have been mentioned just as recently with women's soccer and with women's head coach Glad Bugario. Uh, how difficult was that process to like try to get these athletes in now that their sport is probably in limbo to perhaps even have their season underway over at the track and field complex? What's been the what have those conversations been like with the women's soccer team that they're like the first sport on deck for the upcoming semester?
Yeah, you'd put our women's, men's soccer program, volleyball. You even look at our cross countries and golfs and tennis schedules will all in the fall semester. Right now you want to control the things you can control, and the NCAA allowed us to start signing NLIs starting on April 15th, and so you've seen those announcements come out over the last week or so, and we're excited. We're excited to have those young people join our UTRGV family. There are unknowns, but that's the case for everybody across the country. But we're excited, and hopefully things will continue to improve across the country, and hopefully we'll be able to get back to some normalcy. But until then, we talked about being patient. But whenever we're ready, we'll get those student athletes here to campus. Really want to make sure that our transition period, our ramp up period as far as strength and conditioning, and making sure our young people are in good shape to be able to enter back into a rigorous schedule of training. Those are things that we're talking about internally because we want to make sure our student athletes are set up for success. And so those are things that we'll do as we come back, hopefully this fall. And if not, in early August, we'll come back when the time is right.
Now, you just mentioned a key date there, early August. Now you're going to be seeing two new members of the Western Athletic Conference in Dixie State and Tarleton State. Have you had conversations with those two new members, and what have you been able to gain from them so far, as part as now being a part of the new Western Athletic Conference, now that CSB Bakersfield and UMKC will be departing the conference at the end of June?
Yeah, two great new members for our league. Both athletic directors, Lon and Jason, have been part of our WAC discussions. They were part of our fall meetings back in October, and their presidents and ADs were also there in Las Vegas for us for our meetings that were scheduled back in March. And so, really excited to have them join our league. Two really good programs. They're excited to be a part of the WAC. They're making the transition from Division II to Division I, which that's a tough process. Cal Baptist is going through the same process right now. It takes several years to fully transition as a Division I member, but we picked up three really, really good, not just athletic departments, but quality institutions. They're going to bring a lot to the table. Regionally, we're really excited about having a school outside the DFW area, having another Texas team, Tarleton State. That's easy travel for us, and it really aligns the league with travel partners as you look at our volleyball and basketball schedules moving forward. So good additions, really helpful to the conference schedule, and great timing, right? So with the exit of those other two institutions, we picked up two strong members that we're excited to have on board.
All right, Chase, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you here. I'm pretty sure you have a very busy schedule. Jonah, thank you so much for everything. Chase, thank you for accepting the interview. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you guys on the other side of another edition of South Texas Border Sports. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ray. Take care.
You too. Thank you.